We'll be with you in one sec, guys. It's just setting everything up. Okay. We are live on YouTube. I'm going to keep an eye on that as well. So if anybody has any questions, you can ask or we'll just put them on YouTube. So, yep, just make sure I'm doing this. Make sure I start recording. Excellent. I don't have a matching settee. I have got this. I do have a real office chair, which I don't use, so I don't really like it. So I've got this kind of big sort of chat show chair. I'm going to say chat show hair, but that'd be a lie. I couldn't be in the Heavy Bikers. Right. And so, but I've got a nice big sort of comfy chair going on here. So today, we're very lucky to have Liliana joining us. Now, obviously everybody saw the news about what happened. Obviously Dave passed away a few months ago now. And I've been friends with Liliana on Facebook for some time, but I didn't really know. I didn't know who you were married to be perfectly honest. And then I saw your posts, and it was only after Dave actually passed away, or very close, or I'm not quite sure around that time. If people don't know, my dad passed away in December, so my memory hasn't been the best. And I just found, because Liliana posts lots of interesting stuff about grief and loss. And it just really kind of resonated with me. So a few months ago, thank you, the chat show share. I just sent her a message on Facebook going, look, I do interviews with people. I'm just wondering, would you be interested in doing like an interview chat discussion with me about loss? Because I saw that she works with people and specializes with people helping people with bereavement. And she said, yes, she goes, I'm busy for a little while. Shout me in a month or so time. So I did. And then very fortunately, she's agreed to do this. So we're very, very lucky, to have her here in our IEMT. And I know we've got a bit broader community here today, but is mainly sort of the IEMT groups that we have here. Now, Liliana isn't IEMT trained, so we're not going to be talking about IEMT today. We're going to be talking about lots of things. But let me just bring Liliana on for everybody. So, Liliana,
Hello.
hello. How are you doing today?
Oh, very well, thank you. Looking forward to this talk. Looking forward to meeting all these people. Some of them I think that I already met before.
Yeah.
At various circumstances. Hello, everybody. Nice to be here with you, and thank you very much for your interest. Thank you for being here with us, and probably listening to some of my stories. Thank you, Matt, for inviting me. It means a lot.
Well, thank you. And as you can see from her background, she has quite a few qualifications in different therapies, and we will be talking a bit about that as well today. I think it'd be best to start off with some pictures. So Leon very kindly supplied some pictures to me earlier today. Let me just do this. Share. So, Liliana, where are we? Well, I'm not there. Whereabouts was this taken? Substitute, this is you and Dave. So where were these pictures taken?
All right. A few things about me and how I met Dave. I was born in Romania, and we met when the boys started their career as hairy bikers. And the very first series, they had an episode that they filmed in my country. Hairy Bikers Go to Transylvania, and we met. I was managing the hotel where they stayed at. Wow. In the northern country, northern part of the country, and I helped them with a few things whilst they were filming, and we stayed in touch. So that was 2005, and then he used to send me these beautiful emails from all over the world where they were filming. And once in a while, I would get email from Turkey, for example, telling me about the Turkish borders where they were filming and about the conflicts over there and about the people and the communities and the food. Equally, a while after that, I had emails from Argentina where he was dancing tango or watching whales. Beautiful, beautiful descriptions of the places that they were visiting and the experience that they had, and that continued for a while. And it took us 2 years to finally decide to get together. So
Wow.
whenever somebody asks me, "What's bringing you to UK?" I say, "A man on a bike," and he needed 2 years to convince me.
And I think you told me, because I did sort of know this, but then you told me again the other day. I didn't realize for many years he was a makeup artist.
Yeah, before becoming famous in front of the
Mm,
camera, together with his friend Simon, both of them used to be crew, members of a crew.
mm,
Dave was a makeup artist, and Simon used to be a location manager. Now, Dave, he graduated Goldsmith in London,
mm.
and after graduation had various jobs in London and picked up one advert in a paper. BBC was looking for trainees into makeup artistry, and 3,000 applications, and he was the one who was chosen.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's how he started his career. And then he developed it from makeup into prosthetics. So he was really, really famous for that, and nominated twice for BAFTAs for different movies.
Wow.
Yeah, he worked with all sorts of celebrities, and uh, after he passed and I went through his things, I found this photograph of Roger Moore
Yeah.
with a note saying, "Thank you, David, for looking after this face."
It's
quite,
it's
quite,
just when you see Dave, and when someone says they're a makeup artist,
yeah.
Dave doesn't come to mind. A motorbike. It just doesn't seem to fit. The profile as such. But he had a very long and successful career, and that's what led him to meeting Simon. And then we'll talk about it a bit later on as well. Um, and then somebody took a chance on them to do, the hairy bikers, and all the things that kind of came from that. It was different series and books, and it couldn't be, well, more different from being a makeup artist from one side of the camera to the other. So, but I think what a lot of people don't know about him is obviously, the more sort of family side. And this is just some family pictures here. So you seem to be on some sort of
Yeah,
canal. And
we love narrow boating. So those are my kids, and well, my son
Mhm.
and us on a boat. We had numerous holidays on narrow boats going all over the country. Absolutely loved them. We
Mm.
absolutely adore them. We had so much fun. And the other picture is after, so the first year he got ill and he started treatment. He didn't have hair and he was scared to travel. But I said, I'm going to drive. Right. In lockdown, we used to watch all these beautiful things on the TV, and one of the things that we used to do was watch André Rieu in concert in different places. And right then, he booked. He said, "Right, after we get out of this lockdown, we're going to go and see him in Maastricht."
Mm.
That's what he bought tickets, but meanwhile he got ill, and by the following Christmas, he lost his hair and he had neuropathy due to the treatment, so he couldn't walk properly. And I said, "Well, those tickets are not going to go to waste. I'm going to drive you there." And I did. I drove him to Maastricht, and we went to the concert. So that's a picture from
Oh,
this trip.
let's move on. Again, the hairy gardener as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, that's a clean picture. You should have seen the pictures that are not. He's not that clean. I've got a few where he's digging with his hands and he's all mucky. His face and his hair is, yeah, mud everywhere.
No, was he good at growing stuff, or did he used to sort of go to the shop on the way back, pretend he'd grown it, or?
Um, he had this curiosity of learning how to do things, and learning how to do things was him going into books and online, and he used to come home with all sorts of things like, right, I'm going to plant potatoes and I'm going to put this in the with the potatoes so that the potatoes can grow. So there were all sorts
Yeah.
of organic stuff that he found
Mm.
on the internet somewhere. And yeah, well, yeah, potatoes grew.
Yeah. And I didn't even think about it, but as his partner, were you allowed to cook? Or did he cook everything? Because it must be brilliant being married to a chef, to surely.
Right. Everybody's asked me how was my first meal with him. Well, it was a sandwich.
A sandwich.
Yeah, picked me up from the airport, drove home, and it was very late at night. And he had whatever he had in the fridge, and he made me the most fabulous sandwich. So that was my first meal with him, and it was really delicious. Don't ask me what was in that sandwich. I can't remember, but it was delicious.
Potatoes. There you go.
Yeah. Um,
So,
uh, right. I love cooking for my family. I don't love cooking just for the sake of it. So if I have to cook a meal for the family, I love it. He always came home from wherever he was filming. He came home to a Romanian meal.
mm.
Um, and then he took over the kitchen and he would cook beautiful things that he'd learned in his travels. And I can say that in the 17 years we've been together, not once did we have the same meal twice.
Wow.
There was always something else, always a new thing, always a new recipe, always a new ingredient, spices. We loved spices, and sometimes he didn't like what he cooked, and it went in the bin,
Yeah.
and we ended up with a sandwich. But yeah, every time he had this curiosity and creativity with food, and not only with food. Dave was a very, very creative person.
Mm.
Um, he had a twinkle in his eye, and then I knew that he had a plan brewing. There was something that was going on, and he would
There's
come.
another sandwich coming out of this. Yeah. Right. Might be a baguette this time. Right. Yeah. You must have been his sort of guinea pig that he sort of tested stuff
Oh,
out
yeah,
on before he
yeah,
went.
and so many times the two of them when they were writing books,
Mm.
especially at the beginning of their career, they would come into our kitchen. We had a large, very, very big kitchen,
Mm.
4.5 meters a center island with hobs and stuff.
Mm.
So the two of them would just come into our kitchen and cook 10, 20 meals a day, recipes, prepare the recipes and develop recipes. And I was the guinea pig. And so were the neighbors. So we were quite popular with the neighbors.
Yeah. About that raised the house prices in the area. Local estate. If you move here, right, free meals.
Yeah,
How great. How great.
we had really good fun with food and experimental food, and we always loved trying new things wherever we went. He was trying new things. Oh, and he had this thing with restaurants. He could smell them from afar. So look into his book, usually a travel book, or on internet where he used to go to travel. What's it called? anyway, doesn't matter, one website, and he would just research what restaurants were available in the area, what are the best restaurants and all to go to. And I remember once, for example, we were in Dijon, in France, and he had this restaurant that we need to go to this restaurant now. And it was about 6 o'clock in the evening, so we had to walk, and the restaurant was quite far, so we walked, and we kept walking, and the restaurant was still not there. And when we got to the restaurant, just getting in, he said, "Oh, hold on a minute. It's got pictures of food on the door. No, we're not going in." So, and by that time, so many times I was hungry and grumpy because we had to walk so far for him to find the restaurant, only to dismiss it that easily. No, it's got good pictures. No, we're not going in.
Because am I right in thinking he wasn't actually a formally trained chef?
No, he wasn't a formally trained chef. No, he was, he taught himself, and that was a necessity. When he was a child, um, when he was 8, his mum got MS, got diagnosed with MS. And he had to carry her, feed her. So as a child, he didn't have a good childhood. And he had to feed himself and feed his mom at times while his dad was working. And that's how he first learned basic things. And then when he had to go to Goldsmith in London after he lost his parents, I remember him telling me that his father died. See, he was 17, only 17, and he was doing his A levels, and his father died when he had his exams. And 4 months later, his mom died. Now, his mom had been disabled for a long time, but at least they had a house. They had a council house because of his mom's illness. When his mom died, he lost the house. And he had to pack an old motorbike with whatever he could grab from the house and go to London and start life.
Wow.
He had no relatives. He had nobody that could help him. So he had to start. Yeah.
He did seem to sort of come across as a kind of person that just really enjoyed life. I don't think he'd sort of stay in and watch TV a lot. He seems to be always out doing something. And I suppose because of who he was, I should imagine that everybody would want to talk to him. And he seems the sort of person that would enjoy that and talk back. You know, he
Oh,
seems very approachable.
the man was the same on screen, on the stage, and off the screen. In real life, he was the same. Approachable, smiling. He had time for everybody. Hugs, pictures, a good word. And after he passed, I had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of messages from people who remember moments when they met him, moments that that he gave them, what he gave them, and it's amazing what kindness can do.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that because when you're watching them on TV, it was very much like I think Bo said, it's just being in good company, and they're kind of doing the things that you want to do, and they just seem like normal blokes who sort of had
Yeah,
this lottery win of sorts. They're not trained chefs, they're not critics,
yeah,
they're two
they
blokes on
were
bikes going
always
around having a
laughing.
great time.
Yeah, they were always laughing, and he was telling me so many times. He told me, "Lil, what are the Lil?" That's how he called me.
Mm,
What are the chances that a lad like me from a back street in Barrow in Furness can do things like this on the stage, on the TV? He said, "You know something? It's the chances are fewer than winning the lottery."
yeah,
And it's true. It's
yeah.
true because people like him didn't have chances to break through as easily.
Mm.
I think they were lucky to be probably at the right time somewhere where somebody heard them. Um, the very first stupid idea they had. They were in a pub, very tired after long hours of filming
Mm.
behind the screen, and in the pub, tired, eating a curry and talking, oh, this can't continue because the payment is not good, the
Mm.
hours get longer, and
Yeah.
I'm really, really, really fed up with this. What can we
Yeah.
do? And they said, well, let's try and do something together. We're both good at riding motorbikes, cooking food, and
Yeah.
talking. Am I allowed to say something naughty?
Yeah.
Talking bollocks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how that was their first conversation as partners. And somebody heard them and said, well, lads, why don't you do something? Why don't you come with an idea? At that time, Dave had, oh, it was an airplane, something, I can't remember now, a small, an airplane of some sort. I can't remember now what it was called. And the idea was that he would fly in on Morecambe Bay near Barrow-in-Furness,
Yeah.
fly in, and Simon on the beach digging cockles and cooking for Dave.
Right.
But of course, Dave was flying his whatever that flying thing was. He was flying in, and he couldn't land because of all the digging that Simon
Right.
had. So it was quite a funny thing. He had
Yeah.
to go back and until he found a place to land.
Yeah.
Uh, so that was their first attempt of doing something funny. Um,
Yeah.
and then there were commissions to do a 1 hour thing in Portugal, where, of all things, they found the Museum of Lobotomy to go
Right.
and film into.
Right.
So yeah, that's how they started. And after that, so they were commissioned this series, um, where in 2005 we met. So that's how they started. And then this adventure, well, it wasn't easy at the beginning. It wasn't easy. There were all sorts going on, and they tried so many things that they didn't work, or the commissioners were not happy with, and it was trial and error
Mm.
until they found their feet. Um, yeah, and it all went. I think it was about 2009 when things started to go better.
And how many series and books did they have? Do you know?
They filmed 35 series on
35 series.
5 series, yes, in um, America, North America, South America, Europe, Africa, and Asia. The only continent that they didn't do was Australia. It wasn't in a plan, but
Mm.
happened. Yeah, and 33 books.
But that was a good conversation to have in the pub that day.
Yeah,
So yeah.
fabulous. Yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah. No, I've often been out drinking with people and had ideas. I haven't written 33 books off the back of it. I've just felt ill the next day. I haven't created a career, but I think that obviously the work ethic has obviously been there, but they are doing something that looks very enjoyable because they look like they're always just having a great laugh when they're doing it as well.
I think they come across as being genuine, and this is
Mm,
what the public loves. It's the genuine friendship
mm,
between the two of them, the spirit of adventure,
yeah.
the love for food.
Mm,
But also there's something else there. It's two normal Northerners
hmm.
doing their own thing,
Yeah.
without pretending to be anything else, anybody else.
Mm.
It's just being themselves. And this level of being genuine and original, if you wish,
Mm.
kind of caught to public. There was, don't get me wrong, there were pros and cons to that. And I remember once that he came home a little bit upset because somebody from higher TV stations
Mm.
said, "Oh, you're not as aspirational as Nigella Lawson." Um, and yeah, there were things that upset them as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, they did
Well,
their own thing and they came across as being genuine. And they've been part of people living rooms for 20 years.
yeah.
And they're like good friends that just have a good time, a good banter, good food, and
Mm.
having travels, good travels, motorbike. Yeah.
I think they've done wonders for men's mental health as well, because you don't often see male friendship on TV.
It,
And a lot of male friendship is built on negativity and just being mean to each other. And they just seem to be, they genuinely sort of loved each other, and that really came through. And I think that would have sparked a lot of conversations with other men and saying it's okay to actually like people and be nice and just have a nice time without it being odd or without having to put each other down, and then we can even make a sandwich later. So
yeah, it's that, and yeah, there were just two normal people.
yeah.
Oh, Dave always had a gap in his teeth. He never bothered about
Mm,
having false teeth.
yeah.
Even that level of being um, down to earth northerner that has a gap into his teeth.
Mm,
Even that, that was something that was kind of it's not that it's attractive, but you can relate as a person, as a
mm,
normal person. You can relate to a friendship. You can relate to uh, cooking. You can relate to a good joke, a good pint of beer, um, the spirit of travel. Yeah.
mm. Excellent. Let's move on. We've got a few more pictures here as well. Well, completely forgot. He did Strictly Come Dancing. Now, that's not you. That's his dance partner from there. So what was it like when he went on Strictly Come Dancing?
Oh, he loved every second of it. Um, this man was a performer. He absolutely enjoyed everything that was thrown at him and he would give it a go. Uh,
Yeah.
and he loved performing. He loved being in the public eye like that, like a performer.
Mm.
Um, he wasn't a dancer. Karen, his dancing partner, she said, "Dave, you don't have two left feet. You have seven left feet." And it was true. The man could dance, but by God, he had a good time dancing or not.
Or not.
But he enjoyed it very much. And we had such a great time in those weeks. Every Saturday, I was in the public
Yeah.
on the set, and now we had such great times. Fantastic. One one Saturday, nobody knew this. Um, it wasn't made public, but he had gout in his
Right.
in his left foot and he
Wow.
couldn't dance. And it was Darcy Bustle. She said, "Oh, Dave, you need to put balls on your feet." And he just said afterwards, "Oh, Darcy, if you only knew what was in the balls on my feet." Yeah.
Spot on accent there as well for Darcy. So this is some other things he was involved in as well. So this is you two at 10 Downing Street. So what's going on there, and what's this charity work that they're doing as well?
We have done a lot of charity work during the years. That in Downing Street, that was a meeting. That was Samantha Cameron that invited us.
Hmm.
Uh, It was a charity thing that she was a patron of, and we helped. And the other one, we built a house in Romania.
Oh.
There's all sorts of projects going on, and we helped with all sorts of projects in Romania. But this particular one, it's an organization that has built already 35 houses for families in very, very poor areas. And the boys had the stage tour that they had, what year must have been 2017, 16 or 17, that picture. They just started a stage tour, and all the money that was made on that day, the very first show of the stage tour, they
Mm.
donated to this organization, and we built a house.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Um, there's all sort of other charities that Dave was working with. Like the very first picture that you put on, he had that orange shirt on. That's the MS Society,
Yeah.
because his mom had
Yeah.
MS. Dave has been doing work for MS for, I don't know, 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
A lot of charity work, yeah.
And obviously this is him with his partner in crime, his TV
Yeah.
husband.
This is the picture from the very last series, Go West, that was filmed last year.
Mm. I
And
think
the motorbike that he's sat on, that's was the right. BBC does not allow them to have any comps or anything of a sort. So BBC paid rent for these motorbikes so that they could be used in the program.
mm,
And BSA, who rented these motorbikes, they have donated Dave's motorbike, the one that he sat on.
mm,
They donated it to be auctioned for charity. So that's gone. It's now online with a company, with an auctioneer, and it's going to be auctioned in March.
wow.
And all proceeds are going to charity.
Well, brilliant. And this is their team. This is their crew.
The crew that he filmed with the
Mm.
last series, a lovely bunch, absolutely lovely bunch of people. Yeah, he loved, and he called it the second family.
And this is a couple more things. So Stanley Tucci and winning an award from Fortnum and Masons as well.
Yeah, during the years, the boys have been nominated for Personality of the Year for the Masons, and they won a few times. And this was last year. And obviously met Stanley Tucci, and there's a connection there because Stanley himself, he went through cancer a few years back.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm very proud of his prizes.
Now, the big thing which I saw a lot of, and I think everybody here saw a lot of, was Dave Day. So for those who don't know, can you give us a brief outline of what Dave Day was?
Um, After he passed, there were so many messages that have been sent to me, and I must say I read every one of them. So I went through all the messages. One of them, and I really I wish I remember the person who wrote it, but I've completely forgotten the name.
Mm.
He said Dave was such he was a person full of life. He loved life, and he was full of zest.
Yeah,
And we should say, when we have a good day, we should say, I'm having a Dave day.
yeah.
And that's what sparkled this. So, and also the biking community, they wanted to pay a tribute to Dave. And um, we just came up with the Dave Day. We had 8 weeks to organize it,
Mhm.
and it was something that we had never ever expected to happen. um, a Facebook group, and people kind of, yeah, signed up. There were 200, 300, 500, then 1,000, then 2,000. And we said, all right, yeah, we have 2,000 people. Yeah, we're going to have a good convoy.
Yeah.
On the day, started from North London, the yeah, the Ace Cafe in Northern London, up to Barrow-in-Furness, and they 46,136 motorbikes.
We actually have, we'll come back to, but that's that's the traffic jam
That's
which she caused.
so that was M6 was completely shut down for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
It was something unbelievable. We had people across
Yeah, I saw, yeah.
every bridge, and it was so touching.
Yeah.
To a degree, I was really proud of him for putting the country together in a way,
Mm,
because we started from the south going to the north, and every
yeah.
bridge, everybody was there, and with banners, with waving, and oh, fantastic, fantastic. The
Yeah.
emotion so high.
And obviously you were at the front, weren't you? You were riding
Yeah, I was
pillion
on
at
the
the front.
first motorbike, yes, and that's
Yeah.
Dave's helmet, favorite helmet, and his jacket. So I took them with me on this ride.
And
He,
then you had a concert, didn't you, in Barrow-in-Furness on the
yeah,
day
we
as
had.
well that everyone came to.
Oh,
And the traffic, because you got there at 4 o'clock, didn't you? And I believe because of the amount of bikes, it took what, 3 hours for everyone to arrive.
so I was on the first motorbike, got in at 4 o'clock. The last motorbike of the convoy arrived in Barrow-in-Furness at 7:30.
I bet the road traffic agency loved you that day.
Um, I don't know.
I bet you though, but anyone sort of caught up in that, I don't think there would have been any
Everybody was
complaints.
emotional, and
Yeah.
it was such an amazing outpour of love and camaraderie.
Mm,
The biking community were amazing. Barrow-in-Furness, I can't express the gratitude to what happened.
mm.
It was something unbelievable. Yeah.
I can just remember watching it on the news because I was kind of following it, just laughing. Just this is just so funny, just in such a brilliant way. You know what I mean? Not humorous, but I was watching like these live streams because it was on all the news channels. Just this massive traffic jam and again on everyone on all the bridges, and I saw on the news as well because obviously Barrow-in-Furness isn't that big, and you have a huge influx of people. Locals were opening up their houses to people so they could come and stay and eat and just, because if not, that the town couldn't cope with the amount of people for Dave Day, which I don't think there could have been a better tribute
What
than
did
this.
that? Yes, everybody was accommodated, everybody was taken care of. There was one single person that slept by his car in a car park, but that was
Mm.
his choice. And I met him a couple of weeks ago. I was at the National Motorcycle Museum in Birmingham, and he came to see me and he said, I am Tiny, the guy who slept by the motorbike. And he said, it wasn't because nobody offered me. It was because
Mm.
I chose to sleep by my motorbike and not
Yeah.
leave overnight on its own.
Yeah. Wow. And then just one
That
final.
day was amazing. I, I just today I had a message from somebody um, who sent me a picture,
Mm.
and she said, "I met my partner on Dave Day."
Wow.
And they are together and they move together. And on the
Wow.
same day, a friend of mine who I had no idea, but they were coming into she told me that they were coming into to Dave Day from
Mm.
in Yorkshire. But what she didn't tell me was that they got married that day on Dave Day. those stories like this are so amazing, so beautiful.
Yeah. And just one lasting image coming up to Christmas. And you can just see just what a happy guy he was, or is.
Yeah. And that's
So,
what I wanted to continue. I wanted to continue to, because when a person dies, and I was there and I held his hand.
mm,
I could see the instant change. That it's that instant change where they the material is there, so the body is there, but the energy is not anymore. So that
mm,
energy goes somewhere, and I wanted to use that, and I wanted to continue with that. I wanted him to live through that energy, uh,
yeah,
and do things that he would have loved to do.
yeah,
Continue doing the stuff that he planned to do, um, with the same happiness and zest of life, and with the same energy,
mm,
that he was always teaching me how to do, and pushing me. He always said, if you're doing something, doing wholeheartedly, don't do it halfway, just go
yeah,
for it and do it.
absolutely. It's like, well, my dad died on the 23rd of December last year,
And so,
and he'd been ill for a couple of months in hospital and stuff. He wasn't ill when he went in, but anyway, on Christmas Day, as you can imagine, it's quite a strange Christmas, but there was an awful lot of laughter and happy memories. We weren't all just sat there upset. Obviously, we're all in shock and everything, but we were just happy because my dad was also called Dave, was a very happy person, and he wouldn't want us to be maudlin and that. Obviously, it's been, well, the loss of a parent, the loss of a family member is undescribable, but we celebrate him and stuff like that because we know that he liked to have fun. So I know that you're a therapist, and pretty much everybody on this call, I know a lot of people on this call are therapists as well. And so what we'd really like to know is that, because I know you're trained in RTT and lots of different things, how have you been able to cope? Because most people, when they go through a bereavement, it's a personal thing, but obviously you've got like your social media, you've got people talking to you and family events, but you were married to a national treasure. And so that's a whole different level, and it's just very, very different. So how have you been? What are some techniques that you've used on yourself? And I know that you specialize in now helping people going through grief and loss. So can you just tell us about that?
well, of course, there's a personal side of a loss that
Mm,
I had to go through, and I did it in my own way. Everybody does it in their own way.
yeah.
But once I dealt with that, I had to be conscious that it wasn't just my loss. Um, I, so many people felt loss
Mm,
when we lost Dave, and so many people could relate to what he went through. And I had many messages and many people talking to me about what they went through, and how they thought that they were related to Dave's journey. um how I dealt with it, um I think the fact that he was a public figure helped me a lot, because I had to step over my fear of being in a public eye.
mm,
I'd been behind the camera with him, and I'd been doing things behind the scenes with him, but never in front, or yeah, short snippets in front of the camera, but that was it. But this time I had to take the lead. whilst in the past he was the one who was leading. This time I had to take the lead, and I had to do things to honor my man, to honor who he was, to honor what he represented for so many people, to do him justice. And me being small and staying small in a corner and crying was not the answer to that. There was the public outpour of grief, and they wanted to express their feelings, and I wanted to give them a platform to do that. That's why we created, and I say we because I have a team now around me. Do work on Dave's Day, and then there's a Facebook group that where we communicate and we keep in touch. So I wanted to give people this this platform. But as you know, as a therapist, you work your own stuff while you're working with others. It helps you helping others. That's how I felt. That whatever I was going through, if at the same time I was helping other people doing the same, it was easier for me.
Yeah.
And it gave me a purpose. And that was very important, because, you know, when you're grieving, there's 5 steps of grieving that everybody read about, and yeah, it's the manual, but the reality of it, it's not like a manual at all. It just hits you when you least expect. You, after a while, when you think, oh yeah, I went through it and it's fine, I'm stable now, I'm in a balance, you go back into it because of something like, oh, I'm just going to show you. Maybe you can see this little thing, yeah, that threw me back into. Now, where I live, it's no public path. I live quite remote. I only have in the whole area, there's one dog, and it's mine. And this looks like something that fell or was attached to a dog collar, like. And it says, yeah, and I found it on my stairs, yeah. And it says, if I had my life to live all over again, I would find you sooner so I could love you longer. And I just found it a few weeks back, and of course it threw me back into it. Of course I went into my God, how did this happen? How did he find a way to communicate? Because I think it's a way of communication. Now, we can interpret, we can try and relate or try and connect. If we allow ourselves, if we're open, yes, it's possible. We can connect with them. They've not disappeared.
Yeah.
My belief system, and obviously everybody has their own belief system, and I come from a communist upbringing, and the religious education was not there, but there was a system in place anyway. So I questioned a lot of things that were happening, and I grew up trying to find my own way. Once it was possible, because when I was growing up, we didn't have manuals, we didn't have books to read, we didn't have sources, any sort of source to educate ourselves. But when it was possible, I started to educate myself in a lot of a lot of things, and make my own interpretation of this world. And in my interpretation of the world, we come here to learn a lesson. We come here to better ourselves, and then we go. Now we are going back to the source. That's what I believe. And I think that we are still attached in a way to the source. We are still connected to the source, but we can't see it unless we allow ourselves to see. And yeah, I'm open to see it. And
Uh,
I believe that there's a lot of communication that we can do. Um, Only last night I had this vision that he just came and he said, well, hold on, girl, because this is going to be a good ride for you. Whatever the ride is going to be, bring it on.
and so, can I ask? So, when because did you specialize in grief and loss before this, or is this is a new thing? And so, when you work with a client now, what approach do you take if somebody comes to you and says, "I'm experiencing loss"? Is it talk therapy? Is it RTT? Is it hypnotherapy? What kind of things do you, or is there kind of no structure? What's it like for you working with clients?
I like to meet the client where they are. No approach is or a strict approach or a recipe can serve two people.
Mm.
We are unique. Every person is unique. So first of all, it's just let the person talk. Listen. I think this is the best thing that we can do as therapists. Listen. Um, because they have to let out all the and grief, it's not just the word grief. There's anger that comes with it. There's fear that comes with it. There's pain, physical pain as well.
Yeah.
Physical pain, emotional pain, spiritual. Just let the person talk and then disseminate and try to help on this, what the physical side of pain, the emotional side of pain, the anger. I was so angry when I lost him, or I had 2 years. Or he had 2 years of illness, and I had 2 years of being angry with the a lot of things, one of them being the system being as it is, and me being angry with myself for not being able to help.
Mm.
um, so we had to reconcile with the thing, with the fact that we are not God and we can't heal them. It's just be there for them. Now this is a very important thing that I talk to my clients, is we are limited in what we can do for them. So being angry to ourselves, or being angry with ourselves for not doing the right thing, not talking the right thing, not being there, or not holding the hand, or not fulfilling their wish, or no, we are not God. And we do the best we can in those very critical moments. So be compassionate. Learn to be compassionate. This is one thing that I'm trying to convey. And of course, then it's the orientation of how you deal with the feelings, and then the orientation of how you deal with the practical stuff that arises from losing a partner, for example, because it's a multitude of things that come up, like the banks. You have to deal with that. You have the death certificate. The lawyers. If you're lucky to have had things put in place beforehand, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
But then there's probate. There's the credit cards. I one example that it was just my experience. Um, After I did all I had the death certificate, and I went to the banks, and I went to declare his death everywhere. His credit card was stopped, which is normal. But then the following month, I had this credit card statement that he owed £10.50. which was all right. Yeah, I called, I wanted to pay, and I was told you can't pay online. You have to go, you can't pay over the phone. You have to go online. But of course, the account had been closed
Yeah.
online, so I couldn't pay. And it was like that for a few months till somebody took pity on me and he said, "Oh, we can waive £10.50 because there's no way that we can accept the payment over the phone." So stuff like that that bring you back into it. So the
Mm,
practical stuff. Um, and I advise everybody to have a circle of friends around, friends or family, that they can rely on, that they can delegate, or who can take up tasks, physical tasks,
yeah.
like taking care of the heating in the house, taking care of, I don't know, the kids, picking kids from school,
Mm,
things like that, the practical stuff that when you are grieving, you're not able to do.
mm,
And then don't rush things.
yeah.
It's not a process to be rushed. It's never going to be, oh, right, in 2 weeks' time or in 3 weeks' time, we're going to go from one stage to another. And no, it doesn't work like that. And just don't rush things.
No, I think the practicalities of things, because I've done the majority of everything for my dad, and yeah, it's just the amount of work's absolutely insane. I thought, "Do you know what? I'll grieve once I've done my admin. It's like I've got it's like I've got a part-time job or a
Yeah.
full-time job of going through things." And I've said to a lot of my friends who still have their parents, have a conversation with them and ask them to have like a file of all their passwords, where their birth certificates are. All, it's not a nice conversation to have, but my dad left everything so well structured, and I just can't imagine what it would be like for it to be a mess, or just not organized, shall we say.
This is
One of my friends, his dad passed, and there was nothing was left, and it's just like we've been to the charity shop so many times and shredded so many files. Everything I have is on a USB. That's my mum doesn't believe it, of course. She's in her 80s. Of course, we looked at my dad's stuff, which was literally I said, everything I have is on here, and it takes a tenth of this. And she's like, don't be daft. I was like,
yeah.
all right, okay. Fair enough. So, but just dealing with the practicalities of everything. I still get mail for him. I had to deal with 102 login accounts, which is just like, and I had a similar thing as well. My dad had a printer, and printers have changed, all right? You have to pay a subscription, and when your ink gets low, they send you ink. Well, he died in December. I used it in January for all the funeral stuff, and then I cancelled it. I gave the printer away a couple of weeks ago, and they couldn't register it because it was still registered to my dad, and it had 2 months of owing. And I was trying to chat with somebody going, he died in December. We haven't used it since January, and you're trying to charge me £8 for on a card I can't use. And so it took 3 days, and someone goes, "Oh yeah, we'll just cancel that." But it is kind of dealing with things like this, and I because I've got his email address, and I still get so much stuff kind of to him and his WhatsApp groups and stuff, and it is a weird process, and I know we've had some questions as well. Um, and one of those things is really sort of, how do you deal when things get really rough, when you procrastinate, when you have overwhelm? I know that we are talking earlier about breathing and just sort of bringing yourself back. So for somebody who, is going through loss and they are feeling really kind of overwhelmed or procrastinating on having to do things, what's your best advice on for these kind of situations?
What helped me a lot was a meditation. It doesn't have to be 20 minutes or an hour meditation, even if it's 5 minutes. It helps a lot.
Yeah.
Just take that time for yourself to wind down and bring the attention inwards. And that regulates a lot of things. And in that moment, somehow, there's this peace that just sets in slowly. And when you open your eyes, the world is a little bit better. So I always advise people that I work with that, well, you start your day with a short meditation and you do the same meditation or a different meditation when you need, when you feel that you're going back into it. I've during the years I've studied with quite a few. One technique that came to mind is Melissa Tears. She does. She recently lost her mom actually, and she did this webinar online about her way of dealing with grief. And it helped me actually because it was about the same times with me going through my grief. And it's very simple things like your awareness, the moment when you feel that everything's running through your head, or painful feelings, your heart is pounding, just stop for a moment and your attention, expand your attention from your straight visual to the peripheral visual, and your attention go with your attention around, like spatial, and it does something magical. This very simple exercise that is probably about a minute or so, it's really does something magical. It just stops you and stops every thought, and your attention goes in and out, in and out, in and out, and it's really effective. What also helped, and I am encouraging people that I work with, is to write.
Right. Okay.
It helps. Right. There's writing before. So if you're going through, like, somebody from the family is ill and it's a long illness, and you know how it's going to happen, like my case with cancer, just do like a scrapbook with little thoughts, pictures, thumbprint, or handprint, or stuff like that that you can do together with the person that you're about to lose, and then that stays with you, and it's a very important source of comfort. And afterwards, after the loss, like, I started writing about my experiences with Dave and my experiences of loss. And there is a post-traumatic growth there, because the impact, the shock, and all that the emotional, the physical, and the spiritual thing that you're going through after the death, and after it calms down a little bit, makes you understand more about life, makes you understand more about how important life is for you and for the ones around you, and how important whatever you're doing is. So you give more, you appreciate more, you evaluate life in a different way. Your capacity to love life is different. A capacity to experience life is different, because now you have a term of comparison, how life was before and how is now, and how life can be, and how short this short thing that we call life needs to be lived, needs to be experienced. We have to have these experiences. We're not being taught about grief, and we don't want to talk about it, but actually, death is the only certain thing in our lives, and this is the real thing. That's the reality. but we don't talk about it. We're not being taught about it.
Mm,
We just push this aside. Um, Society doesn't talk about it very much.
mm,
Schools, we're not taught anything about it. Where I come from, there were rituals around death. There were rituals around the moment of coming into this world, about the birth, and then rituals about death. And those help a lot. In those rituals, the children were included.
mm.
So as a child, I grew up with knowing about death. Now, nowadays, children are not taught about it. They are not familiar with it. They don't understand. And unless we explain to them, they wouldn't understand. Yeah, they're gone to heaven. It's not an answer for a child because in their head, they will make their own answers, their own stories about why the person disappeared. We need to talk to them about this.
Do you know what well, different cultures obviously experience death and the funeral process in different ways. I can remember when I was living in London and I was near sort of Wood Green or somewhere like that. And I didn't know what was going on. I thought it was some sort of carnival. I think it was a West Indies or something type of funeral. They were literally dancing in the streets, like a procession of about 100 people dancing and celebrating the life, as opposed to, I don't really, when my dad passed, we had the whole hearse and the funeral director walking. I didn't like it. And I didn't like having the coffin. In fact, to be honest, none of my family really acknowledged the coffin. And during the actual ceremony, during the crematorium, I didn't look at it once because to me that it wasn't. I don't think any of my family, because I've been to funerals since where people go to it and kind of kiss the coffin and stuff, which apparently is what most people do, but we certainly didn't. And we, we had afterwards, we called it the after party because it was a celebration of life rather than that. And I think, children, I think mental health is getting better now, but we're not taught to deal with our emotions of how things come up. In fact, somebody's just sent me an interesting message here, which I will answer. It'd be good to get your take on it as well. But basically, when people have real negative trauma and lasting memories of when somebody dies. Now, I've done this quite a lot with people. When somebody dies, and if they have a slow death from an illness, generally, your lasting memories often tend to be of them in hospital with all the machines and the wires and everything. So I do something called IEMT, which works specifically on memories, and that has worked fantastically well. Because what happens when you work on these negative memories, it reprioritizes them, brings them down. So when you think about that person, all the other stuff can actually come through. So my advice is to do IEMT or different types of NLP to work on those memories. You don't need to change them. You can allow your brain to reprioritize them, the way I like to think. So when you're working with people who've got real sort of bad trauma, do you have any particular techniques or ways of addressing that at all?
Well, rewind is one technique that
Rewind. Okay.
yeah, helps. Also, as I said earlier, dissociating so what they are really, really dealing with, because
Mm,
sometimes people think that they are dealing um, with grief, but it, when they start talking about it, what aspects of it affects them most?
mm,
Is it the imagery? Is it the fear of death? Is it the anger? Is it the emotion, painful emotion? The
mm.
what is it that actually is so it's scaring them? So we talk about those things. We take each of them
Yeah.
and we try and analyze, and then the more we talk about something, the less grip it has on us.
Yeah. And when you write it down as well, you know, when you literally, it just takes on when you get what's in your head out, you can actually do something about it.
Yeah.
Um,
And
which I really found.
seeing things from different angles and understanding things from different angles. Now, indeed, with the horrible images that one can have in like machineries, like my father was
Mm,
tubed and all that.
yeah.
Um, I I personally didn't find it traumatic. I thought it was something that was helping him. So I interpreted it like
Mm,
it was something that was helping him, and it was the process, and he had to go through it.
yeah.
And that helped me very much dealing with it that way. So whatever the person's system of beliefs is, whatever the person's way of understanding things is, that can
Mm,
help. We work with that, around that.
yeah. No, absolutely. And everybody, you know, experiences it, you know, obviously in different ways. Just got a couple more comments, and I will actually open it up to questions as well, I think. Oh, what I was going to say as well, what people don't really take into account, especially at the beginning, is that when somebody passes away, it's a huge shift in identity for that person who remains. You know,
Yeah.
the wife becomes the widower, the man becomes also the widower, I suppose, or the child becomes the orphan, whatever it might be. It's a huge shift of identity of who am I now? And how do I cope? And again, I'm not trying to sell IMT here, and there's no courses or anything. Well, there is, just not this year. And we really look at who you are now, um, because you're very different to who you
It's
were.
also we have to consider the forms of attachment that we have.
Yeah,
Because if, for example, the attachment, if there's codependency of a
yeah,
certain type, then the grieving would be of a certain, or the
mm,
identity afterwards is different. I look in the mirror and I think, oh, it's not us anymore. It's just me.
mm,
And sometimes me trying to relate to my environment, not sometimes, now it's different, obviously. I relate to my environment in a different way because now it's just me. I'm not part of a union anymore. I'm
mhm,
I'm me. Now, part of the union is gone, and I have to either buckle up or grow myself in a way that that space that was void is filled up.
mm,
How do you grow yourself so that you exist and you become, yeah, you have to become a different person because you're not the
yeah,
same. The version of you that was in a couple is not the same as you are single.
mm,
So that version of you died. Um, and yeah, I look in the mirror and who am I? I am single woman now. I am not a married woman anymore. Um, and I have to deal with that. So
mm,
the way I relate to other people is different. Like I, the very first weeks afterwards, that was weird for me because I was kind of apprehensive speaking to men, talking to
mm,
men. And I don't. I'm not a person who's scared very easily, but I really was scared to speak to men.
mm.
And that's the masculine energy that
Yeah,
I was missing near me.
yeah,
It kind of scared me in other men because I didn't have that.
yeah,
So it's how do you work with that and what the attachments are and work with the attachments. A mother, obviously, if a mother loses a child, she is the caregiver. All of a sudden, the object of her care is not there anymore.
mm,
So how does she reinterpret her personality? How does she start to live without being the same carer anymore? It's yeah, it's a
Mm.
process.
I think there's often quite a lot of guilt, and I've experienced this, and I know people have as well. That when you're having fun, it's like, well, is this okay that I'm meant to be having fun? Like I said, when my dad died was at Christmas, and we had weirdly a really good time on Christmas Day, which is a strange thing because he was a very funny man, and we were all talking about it and all just having a great time about it. And I think it is okay. And it's like my dad always used to say this thing because my parents were going to Zeebrugge on a P&O mini cruise from Hull or something really random. And I was like, why are you going there? And he just go, because it's there. And I like to live my life like that, sort of because it's there. I'll go there because it's there. And I think that you do have to grow and change after somebody, especially when it's a big one, a parent or a brother or sister or, a partner. And I think that you can sort of, you know, suffering is quite seductive in a way to get lost in that and then just let your life go to sort of pieces, especially with, and again, this sounds really boring, the financial stuff of everything. People can just wallow in that and people can then start doing self-soothing with drink or alcohol or drugs or whatever it kind of might be. But I think it's weirdly an opportunity to really grow as a person because you are no longer that union. But what I found is that life does go on. It does go on.
Life goes on, and you can, as I said, just hide in a corner and cry, or you can live life. Yeah, guilt is something you mentioned. Guilt is something
Mm,
very acute, but in this situation, guilt is an unnecessary emotion because it doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help
no.
who's departed. It doesn't help the one who survived. Um, and replace guilt with something else.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
what we.
just I'm just quite conscious of time, but this could go on for hours. Now, does anybody have any questions or anything that they want to put to Liliana? Any questions or anything you just want to say, or you can message me directly, or you can come on cam. It's completely up to you. Does anybody have any more questions at all? Ruth, let me
Hi
just.
there. Thanks for tonight and speaking so openly, Liddy. I just want to say, how are you now? I know it's
I'm
still
all
early
right.
days.
I'm all right. I do have moments like the one with the little medallion. Yeah.
Mm,
Or the 2 weeks ago, I was tidying up the his drawers, and whilst he was ill, he lost a lot of weight. And one morning, I couldn't see his wedding ring on his finger. And I kept asking, what do you remember where you put it? What's happened with it? He couldn't remember. But going through the drawers, on the top drawer, opening it, and that's the drawer with his handkerchiefs, I found his wedding band. So of course, moments like this bring you back into it. You have that pang of pain, physical pain, and then, yeah, deep breath, center, and let it go, let it out.
I suppose at those moments, perhaps you can reframe it to thinking, I am surviving, I'm getting on. Perhaps there is a reminder, I'm getting on despite all of this.
Getting on, and I'm carrying his energy, and I'm carrying I carry doing whatever he loved doing, and the plans that he had, and the adventures. And yeah, I think I'm privileged in that respect because not many people can do that, and I am conscious of it. And I'm conscious that there is a financial side to it. I'm conscious that yeah, many people are not in the position, but I am. And
I can appreciate how, because he was who he was and so well known, how much that must have been a comfort to you, because I know when I lost my parents, each of them one after the other, it's like, how dare the world go on? Nobody, don't you know what's happened? But obviously for you, you had the whole, everybody sharing in your grief.
Yeah. And I felt that as a comfort, but it also was a kind of a big step for me to
Maybe a burden as well.
cameras, because I had to be in front of the cameras at times, and I had to speak, and I had to go from behind right in front. And it wasn't familiar to me. I had to learn it.
From what I've seen, you have been an inspiration, though, to so many people. And you'll probably be helping people in a way that you'll never know the numbers that you've helped.
Well, that's what I hope.
I feel emotional now.
I know, but it's if I have been through it, if I managed and I have a way, then why not help other people? And don't get me wrong, there's so many, whatever work I do, I do it for free. I started a group in my area that I'm working with. I'm going to be on the stage at the NAC this on the 24th. I'm organizing it's a charity thing in London on the 30th. So I'm rolling all these things so that I raise awareness and to show people that it's possible to do it, that it's possible to go through pain and through grief and be inspirational as well.
Thank you for that.
Oh,
thank you very much, Ruth. Thank you. Anybody else at all? Does anybody have any last questions? Just got this here. No questions, just thanks to Liliana's presence and sending love and energy to her to perhaps help gaps get filled enough and bring enough comfort to where it needs to be. Louise has to go now. She just wants to say thank you. Have a great evening to himself and yourself, Liliana. Any other questions or anything they'd just like to share? That's all.
Hi, Matt. My mum died June, and what I did was after day 3 made a video diary. Seems an odd thing to do, but talking to a camera, it actually, no one sees it. I've still kept it on my phone. I don't know actually what to do with it, to be honest with you. But I shared how I felt about how people viewed me and how they treated me and what was expected, because certain things from my mother's friends expected me to do certain things, and I wasn't her. I am not capable of doing these things. I can do my own things, my own way, the best way I can. So I've made a video diary of myself, just talking to myself, I suppose. I am a therapist, as you know, and I just thought that might be helpful in a later date. Who knows? It might be, it might not be. I haven't looked back at it yet, but I will do. But the thing that grabbed me was people saying, I'm here for you. Well, no, you're over there. I'm here. And as you said, practical help. And it was a practical people that was really, really wonderful. And people I never even realized could be that practical and helpful.
Cool. Thank you very much, Kim.
Very much for your intervention, and I'm sorry for your loss. And well done with the videos, because that would help you. At some point, you will consider that it's going to be inspirational for others as well, and it's worth sharing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bo.
Can I just say something? I'm quite touched actually listening. Matt knows me. I'm always talking and chatting, and I think it's the first one of these I've made me completely quiet and very touched by what you've had to say. And I think anyone having you as their therapist will be extremely lucky. And that's from the heart, because you come across so well. So I'm quite touched actually.
Thank you for your comment. Thank you. Thank you. Don't know what to say.
Honestly, usually we can't shut him up. So well done for being so quiet all the way through. Thanks very much, Bo. Thank you. Any last messages or questions before we wrap this up? Okay, well, Liliana, I just want to say a massive thank you. In fact, before we go, what's coming up? Because I know you're always up to things, with all these events and everything like that. So, what's coming up? I presume it'll be kind of things next year. You mentioned about the bike auction, but what other things are you now involved in?
Dave Day 2.
Day 2?
Yes. Obviously, we have a precedent, and now things are going to be different with the authorities.
Yeah.
Motorway agencies and all are not going to allow us to do the same as we did this year. But we have plans for June, and the plans are to make it more family friendly. One, it's a secret. It's a secret. What we have in mind is a charity football match where I already have some big names lined up to take part in. A concert where, again, it's a secret, but hey ho, Alfie Bow promised to be part of it.
Wow.
Yeah, and a food festival and other wonderful stuff that we're in planning. I can't yet divulge the date because the local authorities need to do their own preparation. So they have the licensing and everything that they have on roll now. Possibly in a couple of weeks, we'll be able to reveal the date and then get on with things. But for now, we have to keep a lid on it. But yeah, Day 2.
Dave Day 2. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. I hope you all have a Dave Day. Oh, no problem at all, Lindsay. Sorry, people are sending me a message as well. Liliana, thank you so much for spending your time with us and just being so open and honest and sharing everything. And like I say, when I sent this message, I am a bit of a chancer. I thought the worst that she'll say is no. And the best is we'll have this 90-minute chat talk, which I think will benefit a lot of people and for a long time to come, because this has obviously been streamed. It'll be on YouTube. People can watch this, and I'll encourage people to share it. And I'll put your website and stuff as well. So if people do want to be, in contact for therapy sessions, they can easily gain contact with you. Which I think, reaching out for help and actually getting help when you're going through this is really beneficial. I'm not the person to come to for stuff like this because I have been trying to be sort of more compassionate and nicer to people, but that hasn't really worked out, to be honest. I'm still me in my kind of approach, but I help people when they're ready to kind of change. So I'm not like you, should we say? I'm just much more rough and I'll just get rid of the memories. So if you want a much more compassionate approach, I'll put Liliana's, and if people want to connect with you as well, you said there's some Facebook groups and some social media. Where can people find you and what you're up to as well?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. My name, Liliana Myers. You can find me there. On Instagram, just the same. Then on Facebook, we have the Dave Day group that you can connect with. There's about 70,000 people there in the group. And yeah, soon will be more when we start to announce and do all that. So and yeah, get in touch if you have any questions. I forgot to say, just for November for Remembrance Day, I did these poppies. I made them myself, crochet poppies with the leaf made out of Dave's handkerchief. And we raised about 800 quid for charity just doing that. So yeah, and it was for people who got in touch with me, asking me for something from Dave, and that was one of the things that I sent. So yeah, get in touch with me if you have a question, if you have a request, if you're curious about something, just get in touch with me, and I'm more than happy to answer.
Thank you so much for your time this evening, Liliana. Guys, if anybody wants to put any comments in or unmute yourself to say anything to Liliana, please do so. Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Lots of nice messages coming in. Thank you, just saying so inspiring. If anybody wants to unmute themselves, please do. It's absolutely fine. So thank you, Liliana. And was it £100,000 or something that raised on Dave Day 1?
127,346 pounds.
Approximately, yeah. Wow, that is very precise. And the amount of riders, once again, you were expecting a few, but you had
46,136, and there was somebody who actually tattooed that on their arm.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you very much, Ruth. Just saying it's been a privilege to be part of this. So thank you very much. Cool, guys. I'm going to stop broadcasting this now as well. In fact, I'm going to stop the recording. I'm going to stop the broadcast. I don't even know how to do that, to be honest.
Well, I hope it was what you expected.
It was brilliant. Like I say, I didn't really have. I knew obviously we had a bit of a structure, and I knew it was going to sort of be like this. But no, thank you. It's been it's been really, really fascinating. It's just been, and I think sort of talking about death and stuff like that is a healthy thing, and I don't think we're very good at it in the UK, especially men. So I think sort of talking about it is a healthy thing. So
No,
thank
and
you.
it's cultural, isn't it? Where I come from, they